It was September the 3rd. I remember getting up in the morning. I was a sergeant in the Marines. When you're a sergeant in the Marines, you tell people what to do, and they do it, or else it becomes unbearable for them. But the day started off at 8 o'clock, and by 1 o'clock that day, I had left Yuma, Arizona, and I was a freshman at that time, UNLV. Well, it was called something different then. I suddenly found myself in a different environment that I was totally uncomfortable with. I didn't feel, it was just one great big mass of people trying to register for college. I didn't know what I was doing. I would go through all the process. I didn't really like any of the people that were there because they were all different than I was. During that time, there was an anti-war movement. I was part of the war. So you weren't very popular at that time. But I didn't really talk about any of those things. I moved into the dormitory, and they gave me a roommate that was from Beatty, Nevada. To this day, I hate that man. And I suddenly found myself in an environment I was totally uncomfortable with, and I didn't know what to do. First of all, I didn't know how to meet people. And part of that problem was that when you're in a military environment, the people you work around are your friends, and that and I worked on a bomb dump, and the people that were there were I got used to. We had personal relationships. Then I found myself in a university where I didn't know anybody. I was totally uncomfortable. And then I had registered for classes, and I didn't even know what I was doing there. And for a brief second, I thought about going home to Northern Nevada. And then I realized that I had promised them I'd start college, and I had gotten out early. So at that point, I realized that I had to stay there. Well, it's not easy to make friends when you basically don't talk to people. We didn't have anything in common. I was 23 and 23. And then the people around me were 18, 19-year-olds. We didn't have anything in common. There was nothing we could really talk about. And there was a sense of distance there, and it was hard for me to adjust to. So I got mad. I really got mad. I just said, well, I got to do something. And so I looked up at God and I said, well, God, if you really want me to meet somebody, you need to send them to my door with a 6-pack of beer. And I was living in the dormitory. And then came that fateful day when I heard. I was thinking, who in the hell's at my door? And I opened the door, and there was this beautiful redhead there. And I'm thinking, this got to be wrong. It's got to be the wrong address. And then I noticed in her arm she had a 6-pack of beer. Now, mind you, I never, ever told anybody that I told God I wanted somebody with a 6-pack of beer at my door. Well, sure enough. And this person, her name was Jamie. Oh, Jamie was absolutely beautiful. Red hair, a lot of personality. And she was at my door, and I was thinking, well, why are you here? I couldn't accept it. Then we started talking and everything, and that was after a few beers, and we started warming up to each other, and that for the next year and a half, we were a couple. When Jamie, I was kind of shy when I'd walk into Jamie. When she came in the room, she was all personality. Everybody would see her. She was popular. When she would talk loud, and part of the way she was raised, she came from California. Initially, when she was 18, her parents, as usual, kicked her out. And she came here and got involved with all the wrong people. This was the time when they had organized crime in Las Vegas. And organized crime pretty well ran everything for that period of time until we got more corrupt politicians. Jamie went to work, she was a bartender, she did this and got involved in a lot of nefarious activities. Then she ended up going, that time the mafia ended up hiring her in New York City and eventually found herself to the Bahamas, found her way to the Bahamas. But she got tired of all the stuff that goes on in casinos and all that stuff. And then she decided that she would go to college. She was very bright, articulate. University professors really liked her because she would just brighten up the mood of the room, and she was exciting. There's not a lot of exciting things going on in university because everybody's pretty well working on whatever goal they had set for themselves. But she gradually helped me to get out of my shell, and I started actually talking to people and developing friendships. Everything was good. But Jamie had a demon. It was a demon that destroys people. Jamie liked alcohol, and she liked barbiturates. For a long time, one day she was sober, the next day she wasn't sober. One day she was happy, and the next day she wasn't happy. Sometimes I thought she was bipolar. She was a person that had a lot of demons. And the demons were the things she got involved in and the people that had used her. And the problem is when you get in that type of environment, you adopt the lifestyle of the people in there. I didn't know this at the time, but when I met her, she was married. She was married to a foreigner who wanted to be a U.S. citizen, so they ended up getting married. I asked her about it. She told it was just natural. That's how she would get her money. That's what was paying for her to go to college. But as much as I liked Jamie, she was a source of problems all the time. She always wanted this or she wanted that. She, of all things, just her personality would tell you that she wanted acceptance. She wanted people to like her, and they always liked her. But they never really saw the person that was underneath the pain. Only because I knew her on a more intimate level that I suddenly realized that there wasn't a lot I could do for her. She gave me so much, and I could only give her a little bit back. So for a long time we went together and we tolerated each other. And then came a day that to this day I regret. She ended up on Harmon and Maroney Parkway. She drove my car out and got into not just a feather bed, she ended up smashing my car. And then she came home. By that time I was living over in the apartments on the north side of the university. Came in, of course she was loaded at that time, and she said to me, we should get married because I want to have children. And to this day I regret what I said to her. I said, Jamie, if you have a child, that child will come out and have horns and fangs. And I know I hurt her. And to this day I've been paying for that pain, because what did I get out of saying that? But there was no future for us. So gradually what would happen was that she spent less time around me, and suddenly the relationship was over with. I really regretted what I had said, and Jamie eventually disappeared. She was living over in the apartments over on Harmon, and she stayed there for a while, then she disappeared. I didn't see Jamie for almost probably a year and a half. Next thing I received was a phone call from her. She said, well, can we get together and talk and stuff? I said, yes, of course. And so I met her. Unfortunately, I met her at a bar, which was really stupid on my part because she had just gotten out of rehab. And she wasn't the same person anymore. She had changed. The drugs and alcohol gave her a personality, but when she no longer had those things to use as her support mechanism, it changed her. She wasn't the same Jamie. She had lost all of, the physical appeal and everything else. She wanted to get back together, and I knew that. So I didn't say no. I just said, well, we'll get together, we'll talk about it. Because I didn't want to hurt her feelings. I was still feeling guilt about the way I treated her. And I said I'd call her, and I never did. Well, it wasn't the end of the story, though. I ended up, once I was a parole officer downtown, I used to have to drive around. Next time I saw Jamie, which really made me happy, was probably 2-3 years later. I saw her down on Fremont Street helping this lady get across the road. There used to be bingo palaces downtown. She was helping this lady, and I figured they were going over to play bingo. By the time I turned my car around and everything else, she was gone. What I learned about this whole thing was that from now on, I don't tell God what I want. I tell God whatever's what's in my best interest, you take care of me. Because I never want to go through that type of relationship again. Mr. Toastmaster.